Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So on today's video, I'm going to do a detailed discussion on one very good stock. It's a mid cap slash small cap type of a company. I've started to take some positions in it. I will also show you my live investment. And going forward also, depending on the situation, I might take even more positions on this company. So please watch this video till the very end. Only then you will understand all the rational argument. Please don't watch just half the video. It would not make any sense. You would just understand half the logic and make investments and incur losses. So please understand all the rational arguments. Please do your due diligence. This is not an investment advice. I'm just sharing my opinion. Whatever I'm doing in the market, I'm openly sharing it with you. So let's get the analysis started. And which company am I talking about? I'm talking about V-gaurd Industries. Now people who would drop off will drop off just by knowing the name of the stock. But for serious learners, you must understand the ins and outs of the industry because there are multiple stocks that are like V-gaurd in my opinion, and you can consider taking positions in those as well. So I will disclose one more name and you can start analyzing that stock as well. Also a very quick shout out to our sponsors for today, which is Cuckoo FM. It's an excellent audio based learning platform. You can listen to different podcasts, knowledge series, books and gain more knowledge. I'm revising a book called as Coffee Can Investing written by Saurabh Mukherjea. I had read the physical copy and I'm listening to the audio copy of Cuckoo FM. So you can check the links in the description box, and also on the description box I will put the link to my discussion with Saurabh Mukherjea where we had spoken a lot about good investable businesses. Alright, so back to the topic today, which is about V-gaurd industry. So let us first and foremost understand what precisely is it that V-gaurd industry does. So just a very quick recap, and you can check the tab here as well, and I will read it with you. That V-gaurd was founded in 1977. It is into electronics, electricals and consumer durables. I'll give you more clarity about these businesses as well. And they have a lot of sales channel and distribution network based in South India. And the company is quite old. It has been active since 1977. So a decent brand name company. And I'm sure that many of us would be aware of the brand of the company. Now, very quickly helping you understand about the breakup, the product breakup of the company. Here is a chart for you. You can check the sales that it generates through different products. So you will see that it generates majority of its sales from wires. So I was under the impression that they generate majority of its sales through stabilizers. That is not correct. They are doing it through wires. Stabilizer sales is roughly 18%, and they also have a range of different products. For example, water heaters is there, pumps is there, modular switches is there. They are also getting into kitchenware and bunch of other different things. So very well diversified business. There is a very important segment-wise review that I will put here. This is taken from their annual report. So you will see that electronics contribute 28% to their business, electricals 44%, and consumer durables roughly 28%. If you look at these splits, it's a very well diversified business, especially for a small company. So this is not a huge company, but very well diversified business, decent brand, decent expansion opportunities. So the business at the core makes sense. Now let me discuss very quickly about 2-3 data points as to why am I interested in this company right now in terms of buying it. So here is the first piece of information for you. If you take a look at their electrical segment, now this is a big report that I read and I was able to dig up some really useful information for you. So you will see that the electrical segments, this segment grew by 14.3% during financial year 21, so last year, and contributed to 44.6% in revenues. Now this is excellent news for the simple fact that the highest contributing segment has grown the fastest for this company, which is a great pivot point. And going forward, even if the company repeats its performance or if this segment becomes even more prominent, then yes, this company might become a really good cash cow. So this brings me to the second data point that I would want you to know. So if you take a look at the technical chart patterns, what you will see is that the stock price has fallen by roughly 25% from its peak. This is a very big fall. Why the fall has happened? Because over the last couple of months, the small cap and mid cap stocks have performed really badly. Almost all the small cap, mid cap stocks. Combine it with the fact that this is a durables or consumer durables and electrics company. Again, almost all the good stocks in this domain have fallen quite a lot. So this is a decent fall already. The markets have started recovering and this is a very good support level. So let me draw out this support level for you. So you will see that this is available at a very strong support. So you will see that how many times this stock has touched this support level, right? So multiple times. So excellent support zone here, and the market is also supporting the recovery of consumer durables. So I think that this might be a good position to start aggregating this stock. Now, before I speak about the fall in the stock, why it happened and how the company is preparing to deal with these challenges, let me just very quickly run you through some sales numbers. So you will see that in 2010, the sales was only 428 crores, and every year the sales numbers have gone up, and last 12 months have been the highest sales numbers from that perspective. Does that translate to profits? So the answer is yes. There is absolutely no problems in profits also. One declining trend that you will see is, which I will speak about in a minute, is the operating profit margin. That earlier the profit margins used to be roughly 14%. But in the last 3 quarters, you can see that the operating profit margins are coming down, and that was one of the primary reasons why the stock price also fell. So now let me talk about section 2 as to why the stock prices precisely fell, and section 3 will cover why the stock prices are likely to recover. So 3 reasons why stock prices have fallen for this particular stock. The first was the supply chain disruption. There was a very important paragraph from their conference call report. Again, I had to do a lot of reading to get all this data for you, so a thumbs up would be deeply appreciated. So if you take a look at this particular snippet, you will see that the company lost somewhere around 500 crores in revenues due to supply chain disruption. What was the supply chain disruption precisely? That number one, 4 to 5 months their plants was not operational. The vendors had to shut shop and a lot of vendors became bankrupt. So the distribution channel that they had built, it got hit quite a lot. Now, just a very quick industry insight regarding the supply chain disruption that happened with companies like V-gaurd. There are 2 key things that you need to remember. So number one is that companies like V-gaurd have a very long sourcing time. For example, they might have to aggregate a lot of copper, semiconductors, bunch of other raw material to start manufacturing their products. So if there is any sort of supply chain disruption, these consumer durable companies get hit the most. That's point one. Second is that for a company like V-gaurd, they work with really small vendors. For example, you might have seen that if you're living in a tier 2, tier 3 city, that a lot of distributors are very small scale distributors. For example, there are people who repair fridge or people who repair electronics. They themselves are selling it. So they are distributors also. So majority of these sales would be coming through these small vendors. Now, why am I telling you these points? Because whenever there are major downturn in the economy, for example, the COVID time, these small vendors go out of business first. And that is precisely what happened, unfortunately. And companies like V-gaurd suffered a lot. Now, the second reason for the disruption in the stock price was the manufacturing capabilities of the company. So if you actually go, and this is something that they have not said, but I was able to dig out information from the internet, that a lot of manufacturing that was done for V-gaurd was done via China or Chinese companies. But now V-gaurd is moving towards an in-house manufacturing model. So this is a paragraph that you can see. They would categorically say that currently some of our product categories are being outsourced from OEM vendors domestically, and there is a small part of our business which is importing. So this is the Chinese oriented business. The intention is to start making these products in India. Now, of course, when the global supply chains and all the havoc that is being happening in China, companies like V-gaurd got disrupted really badly. Now, third and finally comes the concept of economic demand for consumer durable goods. People only purchase fridge, TV, ACs, other consumer durables or major electronic equipments when they have discretionary income in place. A great proxy to understand this is to look at the labor market. If the labor market is fully employed, it means that people are going to purchase consumer durables. Because why? Because they are getting salaries, they have discretionary income, and they are going to spend money on these extra expenses. But if the economy is doing poorly, which it had been for the last 1.5 years, discretionary items and luxury items take the first hit. So therefore, there has been less sales of cars, bikes, consumer durables, all this stuff. So these 3 reasons have contributed the most for the fall of something like V-gaurd. Now all 3 situations are improving. So let me start showing that to you in a very concise fashion. So number one, there has been macro changes. A lot of macro changes are there, but 2 very important ones. One is that the credit availability has improved. So banks are giving out loans. Small finance banks are giving out loans. They are looking to give out loans. Consumers want to take loans. So credit availability has improved in the market, no doubt about that. Second is that the discretionary spending is coming up. For example, if you check the employment data, in India, that data is not available very clearly, but the US employment data, which is again a great proxy for what is happening in the overall employment sector, the data in the US is very promising, and the labor market indicates that we are hitting high levels of employment. So from that particular perspective, if people are getting employed, they have discretionary income, more credit available, consumer durable sector is going to come back up. Number 2, the company itself is ramping up its internal manufacturing capabilities. It has somewhat learned from its mistake in this recent pandemic, and it is amplifying its manufacturing capabilities. So here is a very good paragraph that captures this entire output. So here you can clearly see that they are expanding their in-house manufacturing capabilities and they are opening up new units. They are building industry 4.0 digital transformation platform and manufacturing operations, etc., etc. All these are buzzwords, but to cut the long story short, the company is building in-house manufacturing facilities, which it should have done earlier, but now at least they are taking stock of that situation and is on the right track. Third, which is the most promising part about this entire development, is that the company is investing into product innovation. For example, there is a new company and I will put the snippet here. For example, company has invested 33 crores to acquire an 18.7% stake in a startup called as Gigadyne. Now, basically what it does is that it allows faster charging of batteries. And as you can imagine, that V-gaurd is into selling stabilizers and bunch of other electronic equipments. Getting access to better batteries is going to solve a lot of their problems. So which is a good product innovation. And similarly, they are expanding their product lines. For example, they are getting into fan, stabilizers, solar power systems. They are getting into home appliances. And with the housing demand picking up, the demand for electrical items also pick up. One of the segments in which V-gaurd is specializing is electricals. So as the housing demand goes up, which is going up, V-gaurd is going to benefit from that. Fourth and final point why I feel that the company is poised to make a strong comeback is very simple, that they have opportunity to expand. Here is a very important paragraph. So they categorically say that non-South market account for only 42% of companies' current revenues, providing significant scope to expand and gain market share. Now, this is true, and there are two companies which I'm very bullish about in terms of this geographical expansion in India. One is Amritanjan and one is V-gaurd. Both very different industries, but I'm bullish on both these companies, and both the companies are in my stock portfolio because we need to understand it from this particular perspective that both Amritanjan and V-gaurd are very, very strong brands. How do we know it? Because you yourself ask, have you heard of V-gaurd or Amritanjan? The answer most likely is going to be yes. These are not very big firms to begin with, so there is significant scope for expansion. These are region-oriented players right now, which are expanding their base. The only thing that they require is a belly in their fire to expand, which seems like that they are, because the company is getting into new products, trying to market more, all that good stuff. And there is viable scope for them to expand profitably, right? So this is not like mad growth that they are throwing money after money without increasing their sales or profits. No, that is not happening with either of the companies. Both the companies are doing well. And now the market is likely to support such companies. So this is where I will start concluding the video. And there are a few key points that you must remember. Number one, the business is at a very critical juncture right now. Market is supporting it, stock is available at a great price, and that buy-and movement is going to happen very soon in my opinion. So that is point one. Point number two, the recovery is going to happen in these type of companies. When it will happen exactly, no one can say because all the macros are making sense. It is just that the stock needs to get enough interest from investors. So my approach is very simple, that I'm going to invest 50% of the amount that I want to invest into these companies very soon. And then I will wait and watch. If the stock price falls further, then I will take even more positions in it. Now, the final part, that which other stock I was speaking about, which is very similar to V-gaurd and might exhibit good performance, it is Havells. Now, in case you want me to make a separate video on that, I can do it, but the dynamics remains the same both for Havells and V-gaurd, and I am an investor in both the companies. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Also check the links in the description box for a special code at Cuckoo FM and my interview with Mr. Saurabh Mukherjea, and let me know how did you find this video, and I will see you tomorrow.